Hello my friends, how are you today? I'm Andreas from Motorfanatics and welcome to a new video. In this video we're going to work on the fuel tank, we're going to work on the rear axle, and hopefully a lot of parts have arrived so we can start reassembly. Let's do this. Little update on the fuel tank. I removed as much rust as I could in between the seams, on the cover from the pump, on the other access ports. Put epoxy rust converter on everything. Then put on fuel resistant paint. And as you can see here probably, the fuel tank is coated. I removed every piece of coat that was loose. And the bare metal was then again, like the rest, coated with epoxy and paint. So much for the tank. I removed the mounts for the rear sway bar and obviously ripped the bolt off, and obviously there's a bolt that is hard to access and hard to focus, as it seems. Somehow I'm gonna get this done. The fuel lines are removed. Still need to remove more of the fuel lines. I will remove, no, I won't remove that. I will remove the e-brake lines because I ordered new ones. And as I see, they go in the inside. Again, I made myself more work than I bargained for. I bought a leveling cube, a laser cube, which will help me in cutting straight through the rocker covers. So it turns out there's an on button and there's an on button, and now it works. You can't see it, but it works, trust me. In addition to that, everything is slowly come together. The sway bar is still waiting patiently, and so is the rear subframe. So are the control arms and the trailing arms. And now a new addition, the diff member. It's been a long time since I really had to burn out the bushings. Most of the time you can press them out, but these didn't move at all. They just bounced back. Goddamn rubber. So I had to burn them out. Does work too. Just makes a little bit more mess, a little bit more smell. This thing already has one coat of epoxy on it, 2 to go, and then paint. And sealer, of course, rust prevention. Very special and very important for Subaru, or I guess all JDM cars. And then, well, this thing still needs the bushes, which are on their way. And still the diff cover bolts haven't arrived yet. Everything hinges on these bolts. Even the knuckles and hubs are sanded. The ABS tone rings are here. Okay, I forgot the bolts for the ABS tone ring, but I reordered them and they will arrive soon. Even the roller bearings, the wheel bearings for the rear have arrived. Everything is here except the diff cover bolts. It all hinges on that. Let's hope they arrive really, really soon. Or else I'm gonna get mad. Or just use the old screws. Dang it. The better I watch out and clean every nook and cranny, the better the result will be. And especially after sanding, there are a lot of tiny spots where dirt and debris is hiding. And compressed air is unfortunately not always the answer. Well, it is an answer. It's just the wrong one, I'm afraid. Yep, that helped. And now to compressed air. But even with this horribly bad unadhesive tape, masking tape, covering the threads is done rather quickly. If you really want to test your patience, go and buy some really cheap masking tape and try apply it on the contact faces of the wheel bearing. I promise this will make you slowly go mad. This tape doesn't stick to anything, and if it does, only on those spots you don't want it to stick. It's like masking tape presented by Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Why do I tape off these bushings instead of replacing them too? Because these are in near mint condition and there's no need to replace them. So I tape them off so they don't get any paint and hardener on them, and I can reuse them. Simple as that. There's still a lot of small parts left to sandblast. For example, this hanger here, of which I already forgot what this thing does. These small supporting brackets for the diff brace. These little locking tabs for the bushings, they sit in here. Like that, if I remember correctly. And prevent the bushings from rotating too much, or so. But as you can see, this one is rusted through, so I will probably order these new as well. The joy of owning a Subaru. Bad news, guys. I've ordered a huge amount of parts and a lot of them haven't arrived yet. We are still waiting for the bolts of the diff cover. I ordered the mounting plate for the rear calipers, which connects them to the knuckle. This will also take a lot of time. I ordered a lot of bits and bobs, small parts, but enough of the parts that aren't here. Let me show you which parts are here and actually how much of parts go into a single rear axle. We start off easy. This obviously is the diff cover, which I coated with epoxy. This obviously is the diff supporting frame, which not every car has. Most rear-wheel drive cars have subframe and diff support in one. These obviously are one knuckle and one hub. Most cars have two in front and two in the back of those. These just haven't been completely painted yet. Which brings me to this giant heap of parts, of which we're gonna sift through now. So this obviously is the rear subframe. This obviously is the rear diff housing with the diff installed. Two brake discs, brake calipers. These are the rear control arms with the sway bar mounting, front control arms, well, front for the rear. This is the gasket for the diff cover. These are the ABS tone rings, which cost 120 bucks a pop. Oh, it's not broken yet. Oh, that really scares me. They seem to be really finagly is the wrong word, easy to break. These are the trailing arms. Obviously this is the sway bar itself. These are the long bolts, which go into the knuckle and connect the lower control arms with the corresponding nut. That's a paint can. That has nothing to do there. These are the rear bearings with the new rear seals. and the shop from which I ordered them, yeah, they fucked up because they sent me 2 different ones. They are the same size but from a different manufacturer, so I got one without the rear axle nut and one with. So yeah, either they sent me a second one or everything goes back. Then we go on this side. That's the same. Left and right seems often to be the case. That's on cars the same. Super Pro, the bushing guys didn't even bother to answer. Always told me we're gonna answer you someday as soon as we know. So F them. I ordered some OEM Plus ones. They do the same work. Again, the bolt. Yeah. The hub, the knuckle, everything now in sexy and clean. New parts for the parking brake. Braided brake lines. And a lot of nuts and bolts. I probably will need the parts catalog to see what is what. These are obviously the washers for the camber adjustment bolts because these are off center. These are mounting bolts. Don't ask me for what. New bushings for the sway bar. Self-locking nuts. These are also for the camber bolts. Oh yeah, and 4 of the camber bolts. A lot of nuts, a lot of washers. These special self-locking thingamajigs. I don't know how they work, but they supposedly needed, so I got them too. What's missing from this image is still the diff cover bolts, a few additional bolts here and there, and obviously everything that's lazily hanging around here and is not fully painted yet. The diff support frame is painted, but the corrosion protection is still curing. On the inside, again, we used wax everywhere. There's no reason not to, but on the front-facing parts, which build kind of a pocket where dirt, grime, and rock chips and water can collect and gather, we used bitumen spray to give it a it's still tacky, and now it's on my finger, to give it a thick coat that shields it against rock chips and lingering water and stuff like that. Can't even go far enough back. I almost fell over my little shop chair. You get the idea. Oh wait, now you get the idea. That's pretty much anything that happened this week. I know it doesn't seem that much, but I'm actually very happy that I'm done with sandblasting on the knuckles and on the hubs, that I got the rear diff frame done, that I got most of the parts here, most of the parts I need. Yeah, it's a setback that some orders were missing parts and some orders didn't even went through, but hey, if you want everything now, you need a Volkswagen Golf. Well, even they have delayed deliverance of some parts, but I'm happy I don't need a Golf 8 door, front left door. I need other parts that still don't arrive. Yeah, so it's the waiting game, and I'll give you an update next time. Thanks for watching this rather short but illustrious update about all the parts that have arrived and everything I've managed to do until now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss any future videos, please consider subscribing, and if you do so, don't forget the bell. And we see each other next time. And I will now... Yeah, I'm running out of space. There's so many parts on a goddamn rear axle, and it's not even all of them.